You know, it's time, yes sir. It's your boy, Breezy. You have all been waiting from this long time hiatus. You're now tuned into the one they call the greatest. East side, west side, we reppin' you all. We cook a little food and talk a little ball. Have a drink your way, short or tall. Dessert is a must, it better be on call. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Who wants to challenge the king named Breezy? Right here every week is a Sunday. Tune in to sit Sizzl'N. Sit Sizzl'N. Tune in to sit Sizzl'N. Sundays. What's good? You know, it's time, yes sir. It's your boy, Breezy. You have all been waiting from this long time hiatus. You're now tuned into the one they call the greatest. East side, west side, we reppin' you all. We cook a little food and talk a little ball. Have a drink your way, short or tall. Dessert is a must, it better be on call. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Who wants to challenge the king named Breezy? Right here every week is a Sunday. Tune in to sit Sizzl'N. Sit Sizzl'N. Tune in to sit Sizzl'N. Sundays.
Nitty gritty Niner fam, 49er faithful everywhere. What's going on? Y'all know what today is. It's Sizzl'N Sunday. Now y'all probably looking at me like, wait a minute, you not Breezy? That's right. I am not Breezy, but y'all know who I am. It's your boy Mose Knows. We are here. We are in the building. We are getting ready for our afternoon matchup against the South Beach 49ers. I don't even care what they real NFL name is. We know who they are, but our brother is still here. He's still with us. He just on the road because he's at the game. He's in Cali. He's going to see it live. Y'all know who we talk about. The one, the only, Mr. Wayne Breezy.
What's good, faithful? I don't know if my connection is probably trash. The Levi connection is trash, but the Dolphins are even more trash. And that's what I'm looking to get into today. We about to take out the trash. All right. So right now I'm hearing Sizzl'N Sunday intros in my background. I don't know what's going on right now, but it's crazy out here. I'm in my man Clayton's car. What is that sound? Mose, I'm confused. I'm gonna go back on mute, Mose. We got a special guest. My man Matthew B is gonna be chefing up some fish out there in Miami, man. Let's get this show popping. A lot of 49ers talk.
Lot of 49ers talk, man. We got a really, really interesting matchup coming up this afternoon between our 49ers and the Miami Dolphins. It's Kyle Shanahan versus his protege, Mike McDaniel. It's Mike McDaniel versus his former colleague in D'Amico Ryans. Defense versus offense. We have the top defense in the league versus one of the top offense in the league. It's going to be a lot to talk about today. Again, like we said, we have a special guest. When we want to bring him in now, we want to bring him in later. How you want to do it, Breezy?
Let's bring him in now, because let's see if he got anything he want to say about some of the news that's going on with the Niners.
Absolutely. So
is he ready?
Without further ado, please welcome our special guest at Sizzl'N Sunday, Mr. Matthew Bishop. I see you chefing it up in the kitchen. What's going on, Matthew?
How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing
What's
pretty
going
good.
on, man? I hear that sizzle. I hear the sizzle in the background. I hear the sizzle.
Yeah, man, we got it. We got the full food truck going on here.
Hey, man, let him know what you do down there, man. That's what's up, man. Hey, Matthew, let everybody know where you located and what it is that you do down there in South Beach.
Absolutely. So we're located in, I'm out of Estero, Florida. So we're Southwest Florida right now. I'm in Bonita Springs, Florida at Hopsize Brewing. I can show you what that looks like. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but probably a big glare in the sun from the sun. But yeah, man, we do wraps and sandwiches. Anything you get on a wrap, you can get on a roll. So I have like a fragrant tomato BLT with a sour apple bourbon bacon jam. I got chicken and waffles, which is chicken breast that is dredged in waffle batter that is then crusted in Belgian waffles that I make breadcrumbs out of. And then I deep fry that, and that gets tossed in a habanero maple syrup. And what else? I got pineapple chicken that goes with the Borsa and goat cheese. All these can be done on a wrap or a roll, and they come. If you get them on a roll, they come on a nice, sweet Hawaiian roll. It's delicious, man. You can't beat it. It's beautiful deliciousness.
beautiful deliciousness. He says, so I can't wait to see what
Look at
Matthew is going to put together for us on Sizzl'N Sunday. I mean, it's going to be amazing. Go ahead, Breezy.
Nah, man, listen, I don't want this to be a bad episode. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you guys run this joint. I'm gonna have to probably try to watch it. It's just that I'm in a parking lot and the connection is terrible. I am on that 5G, John V. I see you always talking shit in the chat, but I'm on the 5G. But now let's just talk about Elijah Mitchell getting put to IR. We have an open roster spot going forward with the remaining 5 weeks after this game. What's some of your thoughts on that, if you were able to understand anything that I said?
Talking to me?
Yeah, Matthew, you can take it first.
Man, I'm gonna tell you 100%. I'm not a football analyst, but I love this team. What I can tell you is I 100% think that we should win this game. I think that this is one of those games where Kyle Shanahan can become too smart for himself and try to outthink his play calling as he's done in the past. Hopefully he can do the right thing and put the right person on the goal line if we get to that red zone and we can improve our red zone coverage. I mean, if we can get Jordan Mason to do what he does and just, I mean, what did he average last game at the end in the fourth quarter? 5 yards a carry, I think is what it was. 4.5 to 5 yards a carry. I mean, you do that 3 times and you're gold every single time. No pun intended. I think if we do that and if we can take advantage of their porous defense, then we should absolutely walk away from here with a win for sure.
Absolutely. I think we have all of the pieces to do it. The thing that we've been talking about a lot here on this show is Kyle being the architect. Not only is he the architect of the offense, but as head coach, it's his obligation and his duty to put the pieces in the right position to make the plays. So yes, will it hurt the offense not having Elijah Mitchell? Absolutely. But that's why you have multiple people in all of the different positions, because it does have to be a next man up mentality. So I believe today our running backs will be CMC, as we know, Jordan Mason, as we know, and I believe TDP is suiting up today. How many carries he'll see, that's going to be a question. But I do want to see both Mason and TDP incorporated in this offense. I don't want to see a situation where CMC is being overused. We know how effective he can be in this offense, but him being overused is something that Kyle Shanahan doesn't really have to do. We don't have to force CMC the ball, whether it be in the run or the pass. So we have horses in that backfield that we're able to use to kind of push this ball moving forward. In more news, there have been reports and articles that have come out that said both Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers are open to him returning in 2023 under the right circumstances. So, Matt, I want to ask you the question. What are the right circumstances for Jimmy Garoppolo to return in 2023?
I mean, what was his contract when he signed with us? $130 million, right?
Yeah, something like that. Something close to that.
I'll tell you what, if he can play like a $130 million quarterback, then sure. But, I mean, how many times do we have to go through this? And I'm not necessarily a Jimmy hater. I'm just a guy who knows what the definition of insanity is, We're going to keep having him do the cyclical thing, which is he plays well, throws 5 interceptions, and then we lose in the playoffs. And I'm not trying to be cynical, but at the same time, it's like, at what point do we cut bait and go with the guy that we gave up all that draft capital for? I mean, yeah, granted he was injured, but it was a freak accident. It's not like he's dealing with constant hamstrings or a shoulder or a labrum, something that's torn and needs to be injured. I mean, the guy had his ankle rolled up on. He's young enough. He's smart enough. I think that he has the opportunity to really take the franchise in a direction that we expect as 49er fans for it to go in. Granted, there's not a whole lot of empirical evidence to show that he can do it, but that's kind of the problem too, isn't it? You gave up all that draft capital and you're not giving the kid the opportunity. The one time we did give him the opportunity, we had him running up the middle of the line. And, what happened. So, I mean, my God, are we gonna have Jimmy? Is he gonna be the one who leads us to the Super Bowl, or is he gonna be the one that is, check down Charlie and just kind of a part of the team, which is fine. But if they're gonna say that they're gonna do a 2-year contract or something like that for $100 million, then I just don't think that it's worth the time. Is it going to hinder Trey Lance? Is it going to give us the opportunity to grow as a team like we need to? I don't know. I'm not convinced.
Here's my frustration. And at this point, it's no longer Jimmy G versus Trey Lance. It's no
Right.
longer doing the same thing and getting by with mediocre quarterback play versus seeing what you have in the future with Trey Lance. Under any circumstance, if the 49ers bring back Jimmy Garoppolo in 2023, to me, this is a failure on front office. Because if the whole point was to find somebody to do or be better than Jimmy Garoppolo, then keep that same energy, die on that hill, and go out and find another quarterback.
Yep.
Yes, Trey Lance got injured this year, partly because of misuse. But if we bring Jimmy back another year, then what was the point in giving up all of that draft capital?
Yeah.
Later, you could have gotten Justin Fields maybe later. You could have gotten another quarterback. If you didn't get a quarterback that year, maybe you waited until the following year to get a quarterback. Maybe you wait until this year when there are a lot of quarterbacks coming out. If that is the case, why mortgage the future and give up all of that draft capital if Jimmy Garoppolo is still going to be here?
Right.
It makes no sense. And it seems like with all of the moves that they have made, and they have made some really, really good moves, that this move was out of haste and it was not well thought out. It wasn't a good plan. It wasn't well executed. And now to have if you bring Jimmy back in 2023, based on how he played this year, even though Trey was injured, is there now a quarterback controversy? Is Trey Lance still the starter when he's healthy, or is it now a competition between Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo for who the starter in 2023 is? To me, there are too many variables in bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back that, yes, you have to do what you feel is best for the team. But if you still feel that Jimmy Garoppolo is best for the team, then why not to continue surround him with pieces and save that draft capital so that you can refuel and replenish every single year and continue to build the roster the way that you have, to where we already talk about this team having crazy depth, to where that just continues to get better with young pieces that you continue to develop.
So
It's really frustrating.
So let me ask this: Why did they trade for Trey Lance in the first place? Was it because they didn't think Jimmy could do the job, or was it because they said that they needed somebody they could count on to play a full season without getting injured, or was it both?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Okay, so is he mysteriously not going to be injury prone anymore moving forward? Like, did he take some magical medicine that I don't know about? That now he's like Mr. Invincible, and he's not going to have the same issues we've had the past, few years that we've had him. I mean, is he suddenly going to be able to go through his progressions? I mean, you can say some of that is because of the way that Kyle draws it up and lets him do things, but I mean, when you're throwing to linebackers so frequently, I mean, it kind of comes down to you either trust him or you don't. And at some point, they give up all that capital because they don't trust him, whether it's because of his ability to play and lead the team or his ability to stay healthy and stay on the field, leading to us not having to have the backup. Now, you can say that we can train Trey Lance to essentially be the starter / backup or whatever. And if he does get injured, then we have Trey Lance to take over. But then where is Trey Lance going to get the reps from? I mean, are we going to put him back on the practice squad and he's going to do the scout team all the time and let Jimmy take over? Or is like, I just don't, are you going to pay him $100 million to be on the bench? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a GM. I'm on my couch watching it on Sundays, but at the same time, still, I don't get it. I don't understand. Either you're going to move on or you're not. So Me personally, I just think it's time to move on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Continuing to talk about highlights or important news from this game. There's been a lot of talk leading up to this game about comments from a former 49er and Mr. Raheem Mostert. He had some comments about his time here with the 49ers. He had some comments about his current team that, got misconstrued based on, him clearing some things up. And the news coming out of Miami today is that he looks good and he's ready to go and he's going to play in this game. So, Matt, I wanted to ask you, if Raheem Mostert plays in this game, um, how much of an impact do you see him having for this Miami Dolphins offense?
I expect Raheem Mostert to be Raheem Mostert. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't. When you look at the empiric, when you look at the quantitative data, I mean, who did Raheem Mostert have his most successful seasons under as offensive coordinator? Mike McDaniel, right? I mean, why would that change now? The only thing you can say is, maybe the defense of the 49ers has the ability to shut him down because they know his style and they know what he does. But I mean, that's still yet to be said. I think, again, I think Raheem's going to be Raheem, and it's just a matter of limiting those chunk plays and everybody being, doing assignment sound football and making sure that we close those holes and don't let him break free, because we know what happens if he does break free. He's down the field for 20, 15, 20, 30 yards, and if not a touchdown. And if we can limit that, I think we'll be okay. Very curious to see how this game goes. There's a lot of potential for both coaches to really be both in their bag and in their head. Mike McDaniel wanted to prove that he's good enough and that he's out of the shadow of Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan wanting to show that he is the master. He is Mr. Miyagi, and Mike McDaniel is still the Karate Kid, even though he knows what he's doing now and he can run his own team. There's a lot of potential there. The other question is, like you said, do they truly take that as it was misconstrued? He didn't mean any slight by it. He was just saying that he as a quarterback who can actually slang it, as in people were saying that he can't throw the ball, but now he actually can. I assume that's what he meant by that. That's about the only way you could kind of wash that up and make it, not offensive. Do they take that and kind of forgive him, or do they take the Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan route and take offense to whatever anybody else says just to give them fuel to win the game? Kind of like what Richard Sherman did that with I can't even remember. Was it Baker? I can't remember. He did that with somebody, and it was like something that was completely fabricated. And he took offense to it and basically used that as fuel for the game. So I think that's definitely a component there too. But again, at the end of the day, I think that if we play the football that we know we can play, if we can stay healthy, then there's no reason why we can't win this game. And I think that it's possible that we hold Miami to the fewest points they've had. Just about. I'm not completely familiar with their season. I know they average what's their score average, like 20 to 30 points a game, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Let me see if I can pull some of that up.
If we shut them out in the first half, or the second half, like we've been doing, I think we can hold them to 20 or below. I'm curious to see how much of the 49ers scheme Mike McDaniel actually employs, and how much it's recognized, or if he's actually really gone and done his own thing.
That's a good question. That leads to my next question for you. When we talk about the chess match between Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, and Mike McDaniel, the head coach, what do you see being Kyle Shanahan's opportunity to get the leg up in that matchup, just from strictly a head coach standpoint, not offensive play calling, none of that, just from head coach having your team prepared to play this game? Kyle, the head coach, Mike McDaniel, the head coach. What do you think gives Kyle the one up in this matchup, and how can he ultimately be victorious at the end of it?
I don't think it's going to be their ability to be a coach. I think that I think personally, Mike McDaniel has a little bit more. And by the way, I'm cooking while we do this. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do this. I'm just gonna knock this thing out, and we'll talk about football while we do it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and just let me know when you're
I
done and you're ready. And
think that Mike McDaniel has the ability to connect with his players a little bit more, so there's the opportunity or the chance that they might be willing to play. Yeah, for sure. I think that they're those the X factor for them will be their willingness to play hard for him. I think that what could be a hindrance is how long they've been playing together and that cohesiveness and the ability to mesh together while they play the way that, the 49ers, we've been together for minimum 4 years, all together, 5, 6 years, really. I mean, we got a couple of rookies in there, a couple of years in, but I think that cohesiveness and really being willing to play and play hard to win this game, because I see a lot of people saying this is a game that doesn't really matter. It's not going to count against us for the playoffs. It's not a division game, yada, yada. I think it does matter. I think it matters for the psyche of the players, the coaches. I mean, they basically took 49ers and moved them to Miami. You know what I mean? I think you could also say there's a little bit of motivation for when Debo was going through the contract talks and he left to go talk to Mike McDaniel. Did they take slight to that? Was he trying to get under Kyle Shanahan's skin while they were in the if it's just apples and oranges and we're just talking ABC, I think that the 49ers have the talent to beat them on the offense and especially on the defense. It's just a matter of how well does Mike McDaniel know this team and how well can he scheme it up, knowing Kyle's tendencies. I mean, he's been under Kyle, 20 years, something like that, I think I heard somebody say. I mean, it's been basically his entire career he's been under Kyle learning, so they know each other better than some people know their wives. I mean, they've been together longer than some people have been married, So can they use those tendencies to really have an intense chess game with one another and execute? I think it's going to come down to what everybody always says, the players, Jimmy Garoppolo. Can he lead us to a victory? Can he not throw that boneheaded interception to the linebacker on the other side? Because, again, Mike McDaniel's going to know that tendency. They're going to know if they camouflage this coverage, leave the linebacker exposed or, hide the linebacker behind, and he's going to throw it right to him, and that exposes him to some interceptions. And it's going to be really interesting to see how he can.
absolutely. So, in conjunction with that, and you talk about knowing each other's tendencies, D'Amico Ryans has been in this room, with those guys, talking offense, talking defense. His defense has gone up against this offense in practice. Now it's not practice. It's no longer practice, iron sharpening iron. Now it's D'Amico's defense versus Mike McDaniel's offense. What do you see in that particular chess match, and how do you feel that D'Amico Ryans can set his defense up for ultimate success?
I feel like I'm in a job interview. I think D'Amico just does what D'Amico's been doing. I think he has a lot of the traits of Robert Saleh, where he's a very methodical defensive head coach. He's a great leader. Again, D'Amico hasn't been with McDaniel as long as Kyle has, but still there are those tendencies and the things that he likes to do. I think it's going to really come down to Talanoa Hufanga. It's going to come down to Fred Warner. It's going to come down to Nick Bosa getting the penetration, and D'Amico being able to scheme up those opportunities, especially. What did I hear? Their left and right tackles or guards are out, right?
Yep, their left tackle is out, and right tackle Teron Armstead is doubtful.
So there you go. If everybody just does their job, if everybody just does what they're supposed to do, and our stars are the stars that we know they are and they can be, there's no reason why D'Amico can't take advantage of this their offense. I could see Bosa having at least minimum one sack, two. Kind of am fearful a little bit for Tua making it out of this game healthy. I hope he does. I could see a Drew Brees situation where, you know, we retired Drew Brees, right? I mean, that he played that last game with us and he broke his ribs and that was it. How many times did we get after Drew Brees and just take him out? Tua is the same kind of person. He's a pocket passer with a porous offensive line. So, good luck.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we get into offense, defense, special teams, and what it's going to take to win this game, and then we'll do score predictions and get out of here. This
I'm
is
doing
Sizzl'N
kinda
Sunday. This
make
is about tailgating and the food. So Matthew, you are in the kitchen right now. You are chefing it up for us. Tell us a little bit about the dish that you're preparing, and then just walk us through, you know, your prep, what you got going on, and what the final result will be.
So what I'm doing, we have obviously the Miami Dolphins. So what better representation of the Dolphins than to cook up some mahi? So I'm going to take some of my special secret blend that I use on my my proteins, my wraps, my sandwiches, and all that. And I'm going to cook up a pan seared or flat top seared mahi with a butternut squash hash that's going to go with my sour apple bourbon bacon jam. If you want to look in here. So I make a sour apple bourbon bacon jam from scratch. I got my butternut squash already ready to go. And it's going to get a roasted red pepper, Napa cabbage, and parsley slaw on top of that, going with a pineapple vinaigrette that I'm making from a little bit of an aioli, some fresh chopped pineapple, and I'm gonna serve it up, I guess, for my guy here. Hey, everybody, say hi, say hello. This is my CIT, my chef in training. He's my right hand guy when I'm doing everything on the truck, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without him. So, mad props to him.
Absolutely, shout out to him.
Yeah. He can't hear you, so he just has to sit and listen.
No doubt, no doubt. So Matthew, talk to us about your love of cooking. Where did you find that you had a passion for cooking? You know, your special blend for the mahi, your seasoning, the sour apple butter bacon jam. That sounds absolutely amazing. It sounds like you have a real passion for this, and you love to mend and mix flavors and combine different things. Talk about your love of cooking and your love of food, and where that came from, and then ultimately how you got into, you know, opening up your own food truck.
Oh man, so I've been a chef for over 20 years. Started out working at Sonic Drive-In, just flipping burgers. Found out that I really enjoy it. I wanted to learn, you know, at Sonic, no slide on Sonic, but when you're there, you get the chili. That's chili. You open a bag, you pour it in, you heat it up that way. Everything's pre-done. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, man, I'm good at this. I can run this line, but how do you make the chili? How do you make this? How do you make that? So as I got older and older, I started progressing through the phases of culinary. Learning, teaching myself. I did not go to culinary school. I apprenticed to rise up through the ranks. Started working at a pub, and then I got the opportunity to go work at a fine dining establishment. Worked my way up there to be lead line cook and then a sous chef, and followed that up by culinary director and executive chef. After 20 years of working like a crazy person, all holidays, 12-hour days, just going ham in the kitchen, I decided, you know what? If I'm gonna do all this, I might as well do it for myself. And that's when I got the idea to open a food truck. I've had several concept ideas for restaurants, but this one was a little more financially attainable. You know, you do a fairly small investment to get a truck, build it out, and then open it up. So I wanted to do something that had a chef's flair to it, but could still be served at your local bar and everybody could kind of understand. So that's where I got the idea for doing something with wraps and sandwiches. And then I thought of the idea of Stop, Wrap, and Roll. So that is the name of my business. It's Stop, Wrap, and Roll food truck based out of Southwest Florida. We're in Bonita, Estero, Naples, a little bit in Cape Coral. Um, we do everything from scratch for the most part. It's you get it on a sandwich, you can get it on a roll. And the reviews have just been phenomenal. I don't know if you're familiar with the situation down here in Southwest Florida. We just had Hurricane Ian. Do you guys hear about that up in Connecticut? You're in Connecticut, right?
I'm actually in Jersey.
You're in Jersey, okay. Yeah, so we just had Ian. I actually opened the food truck 10 days before Hurricane Ian.
Wow.
So I got really lucky. The truck that was beside mine actually had a tree fall on it at the commissary, and had their AC, their roof crushed. The mirror, side view mirror, was broken off, and luckily mine was unscathed. So I was able to partner with a couple places around town to hand out free food to everybody that lost power during the hurricane. I went to my community. I went to Cape Coral. Cape Coral got hit really hard. Cape Coral, I'm not sure like how to reference proximity, but essentially we're in Estero. Just above Estero is Fort Myers, and then you have Cape Coral that is over the bridge. And the hurricane basically went straight up that direction, and they got absolutely decimated. I have friends that lost everything in that hurricane. I have friends that were out of power for 2-3 weeks. And we were able to partner with a local gym up there to hand out free food. And one of the things that I want to do is try to be a little philanthropic as I'm doing this, opportunity grants opportunity, and that opportunity I want to use to help out people that are in need. And it's just kind of my passion. I've got a GoFundMe up that's allowing me to give out free food to people in the area that need it. We're going to be partnering with a few places as we did. The company that I work with up in Cape Coral is PFIT. PFIT's absolutely incredible. They put the whole thing together for us and basically just allowed us to come on and hand out the food. We handed out in 3 days about almost 1,000 free meals. And that's just my truck. He had trucks out there for I think 2 weeks straight, handing out free meals every single day, and they would sell out right out the gate. So just to digress back a little bit, so I have the zoom in here. I have the butternut squash going in the pan. This right here is what's called a Hefeweizen. This Hefeweizen is actually made by Hopsize Brewing here in Estero, and I'm basically cooking down the butternut squash with the Hefeweizen, which is it's a wheat beer, so the flavor profiles go together really well.
While you're cooking that up, Matt, can you give me the name of the GoFundMe? I want to put that in the chat for the folks watching here. I think that's absolutely amazing. What you're doing, using your culinary skills and your love for cooking to provide free meals for folks who are still dealing with the effects of Hurricane Ian. So if there's anything that we can do to continue to support that effort, I want to be able to give folks that opportunity. So where can we find that GoFundMe?
The GoFundMe can be found actually on my Instagram page and my Facebook. So if you go to I believe it's Stop, Wrap, Roll on Instagram. There's a link to it there. And if you go to Stop, Wrap, and Roll on my Facebook page, you'll see a link to the Instagram, to the GoFundMe there as well. Yeah, one thing I'm looking to do, hopefully if I can get enough going, I want to sponsor a family in this area that might have a hard time supplying Christmas presents and stuff for their kids. So whatever anybody wants to do, they can do nothing at all, that's perfectly fine. I understand. Or if they want to do anything, it's greatly appreciated, and I know that it'll go to the right place.
Let me see. Trying to pull that up here on my end. Give me 1 second. Want to make sure we get that in the chat. Stop, Wrap, and Roll food truck Facebook. Yep, this is it. Pulling that up now. Let me see if I can find that link. Okay. Meanwhile, while I'm finding that, we're gonna find that and make sure that we can get that in the chat. Let's talk about the offense just a little bit. We kind of touched on a little bit with what Kyle can do, with who we'll have as at the running back position. But how do you think this offensive line, who has been playing pretty well, there are some ups and downs, some things that our guys need to work on. But how do you think this offensive line fares against the defensive front seven of the Miami Dolphins?
So educate me a little bit, Mose. What are we looking at for the Miami's defense? I know they don't have the greatest defense, but are there any star players on their line?
Definitely, they have some talent. So on that defensive line, they have big Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle. He's been in the league a couple years out of Clemson. Outside of him, on the outside, they recently just traded for Bradley Chubb. They have a up and coming pass rusher. They drafted a few years ago, Jalen Phillips from the University of Miami, so he got to stay home. In the linebacker core, I know they have Jerome Baker and a couple other guys. So they do have talent. The talent hasn't translated into the stats and the numbers. So they aren't one of the top rated defenses in the league. Actually, they're pretty low for the amount of talent that they have. So in my estimation, I do think there is an opportunity, one, for the offensive line to play well, and two, for us to move the ball effectively. I think the biggest thing for the offensive line is to remain assignment sound. Um, don't get too overly complicated with the blocking schemes, and really just stay on your assignment. Obviously, I think the one of the biggest weak links for me on that offensive line would be the play of Mike McGlinchey, especially in pass protection.
Yep.
He's gotten a little bit better. I think he's feeling better as far as his health and where the knee is and his mobility. You can see he's kind of building his strength back up. Watching the film from the Saints game last week, there were a few pass rush opportunities for defensive end Cameron Jordan, who is one of the bigger, stronger defensive end in the league. And Mike McGlinchey actually did hold up a few times in those pass rush snaps. Now, obviously, he has issues against some of the speedier guys. So I definitely want to watch the matchup between him and a young kid like Jalen Phillips coming off that edge with that speed. But for me, it starts with the offensive line. If they can open up running lanes and if they can keep Jimmy Garoppolo upright and limit the amount of pressure that he gets, I don't see any reason why this offense can't move the ball up and down the field.
And that's what I was going to say too. Mike McGlinchey is really my biggest concern. Do you think we resign him next year?
I love when people ask me this question because my brain says yes, because there are some players that we are loyal to, and we're just loyal to them until the actual point that we physically no longer can be loyal to them anymore.
Right.
But we usually don't move off of guys. And I think this team, unlike other teams where it's strictly business and maybe business to a fault, this team, I really think, does take into account recent history. It's one, how have you played? And two, how have you played with injury? How has injury affected your ability to play and things of that nature? Other than this major injury, Mike has been a reliable player for us at the right tackle position, even with, some of his flaws in pass protection. I think in order for us to move on from Mike McGlinchey, one, contractually, that has to be right. But two, I think we have to find a better option at left tackle like today. Can this person come in learn this scheme and be a better right tackle? Excuse not left tackle, right tackle. Can he be a better right tackle right now than Mike McGlinchey is? And I don't think if we don't find that guy, if we don't find a right tackle to come in that we know is going to play better than Mike McGlinchey, then I don't think there's a situation where we don't re-sign him, unfortunately.
And that's what I was going to say, which is probably a conversation for another episode. But we got to look and see. That's going to be the other telltale sign. Is there a left tackle coming out of the draft that we think would be complimentary for taking that position? Did you think that we were going to get rid of Solomon Thomas when we did?
That I think that one also surprised me. I think part of that was also Solomon wanting to go somewhere else and go into a new situation. I honestly thought that they would keep him as well because part of his slow development was him being misused. And they wanted to use him as an outside guy and rush him on the edge because of his crazy athletic ability, but he's just not an edge rusher. He's an interior defensive lineman. But unfortunately, I believe he's too small for what they want to do on the inside. In college, his size was perfect. He could defend the run and pass in college. At the next level, he's undersized to be an interior defensive lineman. If you need a 3-down, stop the run and rush the passer defensive tackle, I think he works great in schemes and in situations where he's rotational. So if you get into second and long or third and long and you want that interior pass rush, then I think Solomon Thomas is great because he has that athleticism, because he's a little bit undersized, and he does still have power with that athleticism. So he has speed, he can convert speed to power, he can kind of get underneath those less athletic guards and centers and really push that pocket and get after the quarterback if he needed to. So I was surprised, but because we misused him and where we needed to use him, he wasn't a fit. It made sense.
So another person I think that we're unfortunately misusing in a contract season or a contract year right now would be Jimmy Ward. Not to turn into interviewer here, but
Matt, it looks like Matthew cut out a little bit. This guy's in the chat. Just give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me and see me clearly. Just make sure that we aren't having connection issues. We might be having connection issues. Oh, I got a thumbs up from Christy. Gary Cerner says no audio. Yeah, Matt froze, but you're good. Okay. All right, Matt dropped out. I don't know if his phone died or we'll try to see if he can jump back in. Because it looked like what that mahi he was cooking up. Miss Deb had a comment, and let me make sure I can go back and find it. Because if he's not, we need to do what we can to make sure that Matt gets it. Will he be selling that sour apple bacon butter jam? Bacon bourbon butter jam. I know it was 3 B's, unless I'm adding the butter, just because you know how black people do with our butter. But I think it was 3 B's. It was sour apple. Was it butter bacon bourbon or bacon butter bourbon? I think it was 3 B's. I think it was 3 B's. But whatever it is, it needs to be Harry. And Matthew is back.
There we go.
I'm glad he's back because we had a comment, Matthew. It says, will he be selling that sour apple butter bacon bourbon jam? Is butter in it?
No, it's a sour apple bourbon bacon jam.
Okay, I added the X. So it's not 3 B's, it's 2. I added the extra B. but it's sour apple, bacon, bourbon jam. Are you selling that? Is that like for sale? Can we go
That's
to
on my
your
menu.
website and purchase that?
Oh, can you? So that's one of the things that I might do as I kind of grow here. Again, I've only been open since end of October, or beginning of October, one of the two. So I think it would be really cool because I make my green tomatoes from scratch. I'll show you one of them. They're big, they're thick, and they're absolutely delicious. Same with the chicken and waffles, but so that right there, if you can see it, that's the green tomato, right? It's huge. So I take that, I bread it, I put my own seasoning on it, buttermilk marinade, and then I crust it and deep fry it. I'd have to come up with a way. I would love to vacuum seal, package, freeze, and then send it out, and then jar up the sour apple bourbon bacon jam, and kind of do like a build it yourself type of a deal. I think it'd be really phenomenal for future, but maybe for Miss
Well,
Debbie we could work something out.
yeah, well, listen, just let us know when that is available for sale because me and Miss Deb will be putting our orders in for that sour apple bacon bourbon jam.
There you
That's
go.
something that we need ASAP. Now, before you cut out, you were asking me a question. So do you remember what that was? We can kind of get that answer for you.
Yeah, two things actually. You want me to show you the mahi real quick so you can kind of see that?
Oh, absolutely. If you got that ready to go on the roll, we can
It's
definitely
ready.
take a look at that.
All right. Is there a way to flip the camera? I guess not. Probably not. Sorry.
When you're in here, I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. So, will you hold that up for me? Or actually, you hold this. Hold that. Like we did before. Down here. All right. Can you see it?
Woo! Yes, we can.
Get up a little close on that. There
Oh,
you go. All right. So you got
wow.
the butternut squash with the sour apple bourbon bacon jam, the SWR spiced mahi, and the pineapple roasted red pepper and Napa cabbage slaw on top. I'd let you guys try it, but I don't know how it'll do in shipping.
I
There
listen.
you
It
go.
it it, it looks mouth watering from here. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing
That's
that dish and those talents with us.
So the mahi represents the Dolphins, and then the accoutrement, if you will, represents how the 49ers are about to finesse that team. How about that?
Ooh, I like
There
it.
you go. There you go.
I like it. I like it. Matthew is fitting right in with the theme of how we rock and how we do business here on Sizzl'N Sunday. Absolutely.
so
Anything else
so my
that you wanted
last
to cover with the offense?
yeah, so my last question was segueing from Mike McGlinchey's last season to Jimmy Ward and the potential of re-signing him or not. Because they're both, or I'm sorry, Solomon Thomas is somebody who has played out of position, and now it's a contract year for Jimmy Ward. And what are they doing? They're playing him out of position, even though he's been a Pro Bowl free safety for us. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've said it on here many, many, many times. I don't want Jimmy Ward playing in the slot. Yes, he's good. Yes, he's a veteran. He's a pro. He's a football player. But I think he's best for this defense when he's back at that free safety position and he has everything in front of him. And I think we have an opportunity to not only see what the rookie has, but to also give him valuable snaps. Um, so that we can just not force or rush his development, but he can get that on the job training. So I think Samuel Womack needs to be in the slot and he needs to
Yeah,
play nickel. Um, he does have outside attributes. He can play outside corner really well, but I think from what I've seen, his game can translate and he can play inside. So you put Womack in the slot, have him play nickel, and you move Jimmy Ward back to free safety. As it pertains to re-signing him, um, I think this new, mature, outspoken Jimmy Ward, when he speaks now, um, it should send waves out. And he recently responded to a question saying he's going to test free agency because he hasn't received an offer from the
right,
49ers.
right.
And to me, that's saying, you know, all that I've done here, and all that we've done together, and my ability and willingness to play out of position, even though I know I make my bones at free safety, and the fact that I'm not being offered, I haven't been offered a contract. There haven't been any contract talks or negotiations. I think he's taking that as a slap in the face. I think he's taking that as disrespect.
Right.
And I think he very well will test free agency. Now, if he gets an option an offer from the Jets to rejoin Robert Saleh and play free safety, if D'Amico Ryans gets a head coaching job and wherever he goes, he needs a free safety because they don't have someone already in that position. I think those are two viable options. Coaches that know him, coaches that love him, and coaches that will play him at his natural position of free safety.
Mhm.
So I do think it would be in the 49ers' best interest to bring him back. But at this point, I don't know if he wants to come back. I don't know if he's
Right.
feeling respected. I don't know if, you know, as he's getting later on in his career, we saw it with Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson played corner for a lot of years, and as he got older in age, he saw his game starting to come back a little bit. He said, let me go play safety. Well, Jimmy Ward was already playing safety, and now you're taking him from that because you quote unquote need somebody in the slot. So you have him going backwards instead of
Right.
trying to, elongate his career by keeping him back at that safety position. So I
So
think it'll
with
be
that being
interesting to see.
with that being said, who's making the call to keep him in the slot? Because if D'Amico Ryan is the defensive coordinator, wouldn't he be the one that's putting him in the slot? So why would he leave and then put him at free safety and somewhere else, right?
That's what we don't know. Now we could say that it maybe is D'Amico making that call. It could be Kyle. Who knows? It could be Kyle saying, "Yeah, I want Jimmy Ward on the field, but Tashawn Gibson has been playing well for us, so let's
Yeah.
count." We know that Kyle Shanahan has trust issues when it comes to rookies at certain positions. You have to be a really, really outstanding rookie, and to be playing really, really well in order for him to have full trust in you. Like, for example, I thought Spencer Burford earned that. And yes, Daniel Brunskill has been here for a long period of time, and he's played well in Kyle's system. But the fact that Brunskill and Burford are basically rotating,
Hmm.
so Burford may play a few series, and then Brunskill comes in for a few series, and then it's back to Burford. While that has seemed to be working so far, I haven't seen too many devastating plays come from a switch at that guard position. I know that has to be a little hard for both of those guys because you want to stay in and continue to get those reps and to build that chemistry and camaraderie with your other offensive linemen. And that has to be confusing for the guys around them, mainly Mike McGlinchey and Jake Brendel, because those are two different guys that now they have to figure out their tendencies. Brunskill and Burford play two different styles of guard. So that's difficult for them as well, too. So, but that again goes back to Kyle trying to overanalyze the situation a little bit. So we don't
Yep.
know that. It could be Kyle making a call for Jimmy Ward. It could be D'Amico. But this is just my own personal opinion. I find it a little bit difficult for, D'Amico being the defensive mind that he is, continuing to play Jimmy Ward at a position that and especially this year, he's just okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially considering the contributions that he could give us as a free safety. I don't know. I don't like it, but it has got to be. Obviously, they get paid the money they do, and I'm running a food truck for a reason, right?
No, but we know football too. We're not going to slight that. So speaking of the defense, we talked about the two starting tackles, both left and right, that are going to be out. What do you think is one key for the defense to make sure that we can continue playing the defense that we have been playing? Maybe we can continue to not allow a team to score in the second half. and ultimately to win this game? Give me one key for the defense to be successful.
It's going to be something I never thought I would say, really. I mean, granted, we've done well recently, but the play of hopefully Eric Armstead coming back and, Talanoa and Fred Warner continuing to play the way that they've been playing. Also, Al Shire and Greenlaw, I believe it's Greenlaw, not getting those silly penalties, that he gets when he kind of gets a little overzealous. It's good football, and you know how these referees can be sometimes. Those penalties kill us. If we can just stay away from losing important yards on important downs like we've done a couple times in games that we've lost, I think that would be absolutely vital to our victory and at home.
Yeah, I think stopping the run is huge. I think pass rush, making Tua uncomfortable is huge. I think one of the keys for me is going to be the play of the secondary. I want to see, especially early on, what the thought process is. Are we really worried about their speed? Are we trying to compensate for the speed of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? And how does that affect how we cover on the back end? I want to see how Huff plays. I want to see how Gibson lines up. I want to see Deommodore Lenoir. If they're moving guys in motion, if they're putting guys on, a certain side, if they're trying to get that one-on-one matchup with Demo because he isn't the fastest corner, I want to see how Demo handles lining up across from Tyreek Hill. I want to see how he handles lining up across from Jalen Waddle. And if he does get beat on a play early, I want to see how he rebounds from that. I think that is going to be one of the most crucial and important things in this game, is to see what their thought process is going in and how do they handle getting punched in the mouth. Because if they're hanging their head, if their eyes are getting big like a deer in headlights, if they were playing maybe 5 or 10 yards off and then they back up to 15 or more yards off, like if we start to see tangible signs that the speed is getting to them, then I think we're going to have a long day. But if this defense has that dog mentality where they're not scared of the speed and they can make adjustments and keep their heads up if they get beat on the play. We're in the NFL. These guys are the cream of the crop, the best players in the world for a reason. So you're going to get beat. Even Deion Sanders said it. You're going to get beat. If you're a corner and you're playing in the NFL against top-tier wide receivers, you're going to get beat. It happens. You get back on the line and you line up for the next play. So I want to see how they handle that early. To me, that'll tell me a lot about how DeMeco Ryans has this defense prepared for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm extremely excited to see it. Funny story. I'm on the truck right now. I have full cable, and I have the NFL Sunday ticket. And because of where I am in proximity to the Miami Dolphins, my game is blacked out on cable or on the NFL Sunday ticket. So I got Xfinity Stream, and I was going to stream it inside the food truck, but it won't let me stream unless I'm on my own Wi-Fi. I'm just wondering, why would I need to stream cable on my phone in my house? When I just watch TV. I don't know. You gotta love Xfinity. Comcast is great.
Yeah, they're a wonderful, wonderful cable provider. They are absolutely amazing at what they do.
Yes.
I know all too well the stories around Comcast Xfinity, and we're just gonna leave it at that. My mom always told me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So let's move on then to special teams. We've talked about this in previous episodes. 49ers special teams is either ranked 28th or 29th in the league. And that has a bunch of different metrics that are involved with coming up with that ranking. But Breezy and I had talked about it. They don't seem to be playing as bad as the ranking would would have you believe.
Mm.
So for this particular game, where do you see special teams having an impact, and how can they help the 49ers be victorious?
Don't make stupid mistakes when you're returning the ball. You know, I think that since we got our new coordinator, that our special teams has really stepped up tremendously. I know there was a lot of trepidation with him coming on board, given the fact that he's committed to a few teams. I think one of them was the Seahawks, and then he uncommits and winds up not actually working that the season. So the fact that he is, and the results that we're getting. I mean, you think about where we've gone from last year to this year with our special teams and getting rid of our old special teams coordinator, whether you think it's justified or not. I mean, I think that he has them playing a better brand of football. What I would like to see is some better returns. I know that's, like you said, we're playing NFL teams on both sides, so the return is going to be what it is. But are they still playing Jimmy Ward on special teams? Isn't that how he broke his hand before?
I don't think they are doing that anymore.
Okay.
I would hope
So
not.
that means that they're feeling more confident with themselves and with the people that are actually on special teams, right? So that I think is absolutely a plus. I would like to see Mitch Wisnowski put some balls on the two, right in the corner, kind of pin them back a few times. Of course, if he's doing that, that means we had a down that we didn't score on. So it's kind of a double-edged sword with that. But yeah, just playing sound football, and let's go for a fake punt. Why not?
Okay, that's something new that we haven't heard. I think that's where I was going. With Mitch Wisnowski in the punting game, hopefully we don't have to punt a whole lot. But if we do, I think what will be most beneficial for this team is making sure that uh, we win the field position battle and that we are giving this Dolphins team long fields to go. Like they're not starting at the 20 or the 25 or the 30. They're starting inside the 10 and have to go 90 plus yards.
Right.
Again, they're going up against the number one defense in the NFL. So what our job is on special teams is to try to give that defense a boost and make it as difficult as possible. So we've seen the punt coverage unit putting some great punts in the air. We've seen Samuel Womack and other guys get down there and catch the ball at the 1-2 yard line. So if we can do that a few times today in the event that we do have to punt, and make sure the Dolphins have to go the length of the field, that can only benefit this defense and what we're able to do. That it would be a tremendous help. And like I said, those things help in special teams, but maybe they don't get incorporated into the ranking. Maybe it's more of the return yards and things of that nature. But holding a team inside the 10 or inside the 5, especially in this particular game, I think it'll be paramount. We're just over the hour mark, so we won't want to keep you any long. We know you got some more great items to cook up. This is usually about the time we cut out.
Sure.
Let's get a score prediction from you, and then we'll just get some more of your information of where people can find you, how they can get in touch, and we'll get on out of here and get ready for this game.
Man, score prediction, huh? Let's say 21 to. Oh, the 49ers going to score at will against that offense. That's the thing. I think it's going to be 21 to somewhere in the 30s for the 49ers because I'm a 49er fan and I'm going to be optimistic about our offense. Why not, right? I know that kind of goes against our ability to keep them off their average, which is 20 plus points. But I mean, at the same time, it is Mike McDaniel. We know what he's capable of. So, yeah, that's my thought. And then as far as information, if you want me to go into that, or if you have something else to say.
Yeah, go into the information. Where people can find you, your social media, how people can get connected, and if anybody is in the Florida area or will be traveling to the Florida area soon, how can they come get some of those good craft sandwiches?
Yeah, so again, we're Stop Rap and Roll Food Truck. Anybody who actually is a 49er fan and references this podcast and says, you know, they saw me via the Wayne Breezy Sizzl'N Sundays, they get 10% off the meal. So come on out and check me out. I want to be the guy to go to for food for the 49ers in the area. I'm going to come out here and show y'all what the truck looks like from the outside. You've seen it from the inside. So if you see us, can you see that?
Yep.
Yep, so there you go. That's my logo right there. That's me. And that's the truck and her beauty. So you see me around town. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. We post our schedules up there. We're all over the place. Do catering, do weddings, all kind of events. And we're happy to serve everybody and appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, man. Now I'm on the Stop Rap and Roll Facebook page right now. Do you remember when that was posted for the GoFundMe, so I can post that in the chat for everyone?
Do I remember when it was posted? I might have to repost it. It's been a little while.
Okay, so it's probably back a few ways in the posts.
Yeah, probably. It should be right on the front of my Instagram. Do you see a link for the Instagram on there?
I have a link to the website. Let me see if I can get to Instagram from the website. All right, so we're on the website. Contact. No, that's a form. Let's see. Find us. Yep, follow us on Instagram. It says, sorry, this page isn't available. Instagram, Stop Rap Roll. Yeah, that's goofy. Is my phone downstairs? Nope, it fell. Let me see if I can pull you up, man, because I want to get this information. While I'm looking for that, score prediction for me, I think this game is going to be close. Because I think both teams are going to battle. I think both teams really want to win. And I think both teams don't want to give the other team an upper hand. With that, I think that's why it's going to be tough. I do think that this is the week where the defense does give up second half points. I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think the 49ers win this game 27-24. I think 49ers win by 3, 27-24.
You're lying. That is close.
I think it's going to be close. Yeah.
What's Jimmy's
27,
what
24 Niners.
What's his
Oh, Jimmy's stat line? Ooh.
$100 million.
Now you're really putting me on the spot. Jimmy will be 24 for 35, 285 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
No interceptions?
No interceptions.
Bold.
24 of 35, 285, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
I love it. Let's hope for it. I'm here for it.
That's what I'm going for Jimmy. All right, folks, that is going to do it. That is going to wrap up this edition of Sizzl'N Sunday. We want to thank our special guest, Matthew Bishop of Stop Rap and Roll Food Truck down in Florida. He had a great dish for us, prepared for us today. We saw him get to cook it live in the food truck. So we appreciate your time and we appreciate all of your talents. We will make sure that we tap in with you on social media. And we will, if we are in Florida or if you're heading down to Florida, make sure you get in touch with Matthew and get some of his good food. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. 49er faithful everywhere. We love you and we thank you here on the Wayne Breezy Network, tuning into Sizzl'N Sunday. You know how to follow us on all social media. We will be back with you this evening, I believe, with the Overreaction show after the game. So that'll probably be around 7:30-ish once the game is over. So stay up, stay faithful, always keep it nitty, always keep it gritty. Let's get a dub against the South Beach Niners. Love and appreciate you guys. See you later. Peace.
Thank you.